I drifted to sleep and woke up almost flawlessly the next morning. No grogginess, no aches, perfectly energized and bright-eyed. Man, how long has it been since I got that much good sleep? I looked at my alarm clock. I woke up 10 minutes before my alarm. Well, hey, I must be lucky today. Karma owed me some luck. After all I had gone through in merely a handful of days, I deserved to get some good luck. Ecstatic for the day ahead, I turned off my alarms before they could ring and got dressed. However, my phone started to quickly buzz from an incoming text. Huh? Who's texting me this early?
Yo, Anderson! You're carpooling with us from now on. We're not letting you waste your money on a bus. Get ready and be at your gate at 7 stat.
I smiled. My friends were the best. I couldn't drive yet, and I didn't have a car, so it was awesome that my friends would let me carpool. I checked the time. 6:30. Perfect! I can eat some breakfast before they come. I packed my bag and carried it downstairs towards the kitchen. As I entered the dining room, I saw a plate with eggs, toast, and bacon sitting on the table. A fresh, steaming cup of coffee sat next to the plate with the sugar and creamer on the side. I walked to the table and couldn't believe what I was seeing. Who made this? As I spoke aloud, a small red note caught my attention. Have a good day. Yours. My heart skipped a beat as I finished. I could tell it was from one of the boys. Maybe it was from him. I smiled before putting the note in my bag and eating up. The food was so delicious I devoured every amazing bite. I looked at the time again. Time to go. I quickly rushed to the doors, checking myself in the passing mirror. I wasn't wanting to impress anyone, but I still needed to look decent. Before I could reach the handle of the door, however, someone took my hand. Huh? I turned to see Damien, who was holding my hand back with a concerned frown on his face.
My name.
Your name?
My true name isn't Damien. I want you to know my real name, if something were to happen.
His true name? What did he mean? Why was he telling me this now? I remembered reading about a demon's name from the journal I read yesterday. If you knew a demon's true name, you could summon them to you, no matter where you were or where they were. Damien gently pulled me to him and leaned close to whisper in my ear.
My name is Esrol.
Esrul? Esrul. Okay. It's gonna take some tongue twisting to get my name, my tongue around it. As he said his name, I could feel it lock into my memory. Something in my head would make sure I would never forget it. Damien pulled away and stared at me, despite still carrying worry in his eyes.
If you are in any danger, call my name. I promise, I'll come and help you.
I stared up at Damien, unable to say anything. I could only nod in response. Damien smiled before releasing my hand and heading into the dining room. Something told me that name would be used eventually. How are you going to fight, though? I'm so curious. And right on cue, Naomi drove up to the gates with Suzu waving me down. I rushed out the door and we headed to school, talking about the homework in the coming day. Okay, so school time. I'm going to glare into your soul. Because why not? Look at that Diana, though. I wonder if we'll learn about that. Okay. Alright. Okay, time to get kidnapped. What the hey? Dad's never late, especially not this late. I quickly dialed my dad's number again, but as soon as I pressed call, it disconnected and read a signal disconnection error message. What the... No signal error? How do I not have signal? I double-checked my phone and saw all 5 bars for signal. He must be in a dead zone. Before I could finish, a group of hands grabbed at my hands, feet, and covered my mouth. I screamed into the hand over my mouth, struggling to pull away from the hands grabbing at my limbs. It felt disgusting and scary, feeling their hands on me. I needed it to stop.
Hey! Don't dirty up Malix's prey!
The voice, which sent a fearful shiver down my spine, whispered into my ear.
You're coming with me, Miss Anderson.
I couldn't fathom what was happening, but before I knew it, I was blindfolded and my limbs were quickly tied up. I felt myself being carried somewhere and was shoved into something that echoed the interior of a bus or a van. The doors closed and off I was taken, unsure of where I was going and why. All I knew was that I was in trouble. All I saw was darkness. I felt numb as I was taken to a place I didn't know of. I couldn't even move my lips to scream. Sounds zipped past my ears, first of the interior of a car, then the outside, then an echoey space with whispers and cackles of people vibrating through it. However, the wrap around my eyes was eventually removed from my face, and my bonds were cut. It took a while for my eyes to adjust, but I found myself in a warehouse surrounded by devils, including Malix, who was smirking at me.
Nicely done! I'm sure those little shits will come running to find you when they realize you didn't return to your precious little mansion. They'll search everywhere for you.
Malix walked over and set the barrel of his gun against the skin between my eyes.
It'll be so funny when they find your dead body instead.
Izru! All of a sudden, a bright purple light engulfed the room, causing the devils around me to cover themselves.
What the?
Gusts of wind rushed past me, almost forcing me back. I covered my face with my arms, bracing myself and standing my ground. I tried to peek through my arms to see what was going on, but the light continued to shine brightly. Also, I just remembered, I was wondering, is anyone gonna cover her eyes for this bit? Because Damien's always been the one to be like, don't look, trust me. Let me just cover your eyeballs. But now he's the one here, fighting Malix. Oh, I'm so curious. As the gust slowly started to die, the light began to fade, revealing Damien with a blank expression, staring coldly at Malix. Damien.
I'm here, as I promised.
Malix moved his arms from in front of his face and slowly took in the new sight in front of him. Quickly, Malix's face turned to that of pure evil delight.
Out of the 5 pretty boys, you summoned the pathetic one? What a fucking moron!
Really? You were more impressed with Matthew than Damien? Come on. Damien stared at Malix, silent and fiercely cold. Damien began to walk towards Malix, one step at a time. Malix, however, brought up his gun, pointing it at Damien.
So long, pretty boy!
Malix pulled the trigger and let a bullet fly straight at Damien's head. I gasped, bracing myself for the result of the shot. Oh. Oh boy. Remember that gangsta thing we were talking about with, Matthew and James? I think Damien's got that swag going on, too. However, Damien kept walking, like Neo after the Matrix. Damien didn't fly back, nor did he flinch from the shot. I couldn't see the bullet wound, but I knew there had to be one in Damien's face.
What the? Fucking die!
Malix began to quickly pepper shots into Damien's face, some of them passing completely through his head. Are you projecting yourself? A la Loki, maybe? There was no blood, no fire, nothing. It was as if Damien didn't really exist as he walked towards the now frightened devil.
What crap spell is this?
As Damien finally reached Malix, the devil jabbed Damien's head towards the ground, making Damien's body fall and slam to the concrete. As the body settled onto the ground, it slowly began to burn away in purple flames. Malix gritted his teeth.
Where are you, Damien?
Malix scanned the room like a hungry dog hunting for its final meal. Malix's body began to glow a fiery red color in anger from the situation. The remaining devils stared, trying to figure out what to do. Help Malix or watch in silence. Eris, however, walked up beside me and crossed her arms as she watched with an amused smirk on her face.
Come out!
The air instantly went from frantic to still in energy. What could have been described in tone as the color red quickly turned into a deadly mix of purple and black as everything began to blend together all at once. Damien's voice finally replied. However, his voice seemed different.
What's wrong, Malix? Are you afraid of me now?
Oh, he's already gone full demon mode. Alright. I was suddenly afraid. Something about Damien didn't fit right with how I knew him. He sounded otherworldly. His voice was dripping with an almost sadistic tone as he spoke through the air.
Afraid of a pretty boy like you. You don't even have the balls to face me head on. You're the one who's afraid.
Looking to Malix, however, I could tell that he was off. Something about what Damien was doing was keeping Malix in his place.
Oh, I'm not afraid of you. In fact, I know very well you're afraid to move right now. You are practically screaming it in your mind.
Malix, in a fit of insane rage, began to shoot into the air, letting the bullets fly into the ceiling.
Shut the hell up!
Damien's demonic laughter filled the room as a group of dark figures appeared around Malix, walking toward him slowly and menacingly. In defense, Malix fired shots at each entity around him, causing them to fall and fade away into purple flames. However, that didn't stop more from appearing around him and closing in on him. Malix became frantic. Was this the extent of true demon power? Ah. Alright, who are you then? I suddenly felt a pair of hands cover my eyes tightly, pulling me against someone's chest. I gasped, but was stopped from prying their hands off my face.
It's me. Don't look.
Sam? You were like my last guess. Sam? I listened carefully and let the last two words linger in my mind. Don't look. Why? What was being hidden from me? I wanted to know, but something told me to obey Sam's command. I could still hear Malix's screams of agony and the sound of ripping flesh. The smell of blood was covered by the harsh odor of ash and fire. Maybe it was better that I wasn't able to see.
Damien! Enough!
Almost instantly after James's command, the sound stopped. The only thing anyone could hear then was the sound of dripping blood.
At least let me dispose what's left of him.
What's left of him? What?
I'll take care of it. You've done enough, Damien. Come out.
After a brief silence, a pair of footsteps made their way to my spot. Each step seemed to echo with a haunting, otherworldly tone, almost as if a very low and dark piano played a singular note with each step the pair of feet took.
I will admit, you really wailed on him. You practically scared everyone out of the warehouse. It's a good thing you were hiding when you lost your glamour spell, huh?
Glamour spell? What did he mean? Why did Damien sound so different? Why was this being hidden from me? Again!
It's a spell that makes us look human.
I froze. Look human? They didn't look like humans after all? What did they look like?
Like demons.
As if Matthew knew what Damien was talking about, Matthew spoke up, followed by the sound of a cork popping out of a bottle.
Well, not for much longer. Here.
I could hear the small clinking of glass being passed before hearing Damien guzzle down a liquid of some sort. The feel of the air around me gently began to warm back up, insinuating that everything had been returned to normal. Finally, Sam moved his hands from my eyes, allowing me to see around me once again. The devils, including Eris, had fled. Malix was missing, but the bloodstains left behind in his place told me that he was definitely dead, regardless of his location. Okay, so he wasn't under a bloody blanket this time. That's something. The boys, however, had gathered around me, all of them, including Damien, looking like nothing had happened. What just... I tried to speak, but everything zipped around in my head at the whole event, and I felt like speaking wasn't possible.
Let's just get you home, miss. There's nothing more to see here.
I could only nod. What had happened boggled my mind to the point of disbelief. I was second-guessing everything, lost in a sea of what, and how, and when. As we walked out of the warehouse, I looked to Damien for some form of sign that I wasn't dreaming. Damien, despite looking down at his feet, held a face of cold sadness, as if he regretted what he did. It was over. Malix was gone, and the boys were finally safe. A wave of relief ran through my body at the thought of never having to deal with that group again. At the same time, a ping of realization hit the back of my mind. The boys were only going to stay until after Malix was defeated. That was our deal. As we approached home, I could feel something heavy weigh down my heart. It was late, but the boys led me inside and turned on the lights in the lobby.
Finally, we can relax.
It will be good to have some rest without devils breathing down our necks.
I'm just tired. Can I hit the hay early?
I think some sleep would be good for all of us.
I looked at Damien, knowing he could read my mind, and frowned. I didn't want him to know about my thoughts on the situation. Yeah, bed sounds good. I wanted to just end tonight. Too much had happened, and I felt dizzy just trying to figure it out. However, Damien spoke up, stopping all of us from moving.
Should we be gone in the morning?
The air became still with tension. The realization of the situation hit the boys like a wave, forcing them to turn to me in curiosity. They had remembered their deal, and were now awaiting me to decide their fate. I gulped, face to face with the reality of the situation. The boys were leaving it up to me. They looked like they were willing to accept whatever I had demanded. It was only fair, though, after all that had happened. I looked at Damien, feeling my heart flutter in my chest. I didn't want him to leave, but would he ask to stay? I hoped that he would say no and ask me to stay longer. As if he knew what I wanted, Damien moved and stepped to me, staring into my eyes with almost pleading eyes. His eyes made me want to whimper in guilt, but then he spoke.
I know we've only been here for a short while, but you've done so much for us just by giving us a place to stay. However, if I may be honest, I really would like us to stay here longer. Can we?
Aw. My heart skipped while a large red blush ran across my cheeks. The boys stared at Damien wide-eyed, but didn't dare to speak out. Damien stepped back to give me space, returning to where he was. I moved my gaze across each boy, trying to make a decision. If they left in the morning, I would never see them again and my life could return to normal. If I did decide to let them go, that would have been for the best. No goodbyes, no delays. But did I want to? They had done so much for me in such a small amount of time. Let them stay. I wanted them to stay. I wanted him to stay. I merely smiled, staring at the man I had come to have feelings for before speaking at last. I would love it if you all could stay. The boys cheered tiredly, but nonetheless enthusiastically. It was cute to see everyone so excited, despite the tiredness that ran equally through our bodies. Today was a rough day. My home is your home, as long as you can still help with chores. The boys nodded in unison, agreeing to the terms I had set for them. Despite the good situation, I felt myself slowly slipping into unconsciousness. However, James quickly clapped his hands together, getting everyone's attention and waking me up, making sure I didn't pass out on the floor.
All right, everyone. We're all very tired, so let's head to bed, shall we?
Oh! Yeah, sleep is actually a thing. Right.
We've had a very long day, but it will be good to just relax tonight and tomorrow.
Sleep sounds really good right now.
Yeah, man.
I watched a small smile grow onto Damien's lips. He shared my excitement, knowing that we would be together longer. Who knew how long we would stay together? All I cared about was that I would be with him. The others quickly left to finally rest, leaving me and Damien alone at last. My heart fluttered a bit as Damien walked closer to me. He was happy, and it was really cute to see him that way, so I didn't do anything but smile back.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Damien. I'm happy to have you stay here. I watched his smile brighten a bit before he cleared his throat and looked up at me with a serious face. I didn't know if it was the tiredness or my growing attachment to him, but I felt myself sway a bit on my feet. However, Damien's face made it clear that he wanted to say something else, making me forget that my bed was also calling for me.
Listen, about what happened at the warehouse.
No, it's fine. You did what you had to do. I understand. I had accepted everything that happened and knew that Damien had to do what he had to do. He was real, and he was someone I didn't want to be without, even if that meant nodding against my curiosity. Besides, I was too tired to explore that memory further. Damien nodded before holding out a hand to me.
Come on. Let's get you to bed.
I nodded before Damien gently lifted me up into his arms like a bride and carried me to my room. I didn't want to leave his arms, leaning my head against Damien's chest, but eventually I was slowly lowered to my bed and covered with my bed covers. I was still in my school clothes, but I was too tired to strip or care. I looked at Damien, fighting a yawn from escaping me as he gently ran a hand over my hair.
Good night. I'll make breakfast for you in the morning.
I nodded with a tired smile before watching him slowly stand and leave my room, closing the door. A wave of happiness washed over me as I laid in bed. I made a good choice. Sure, it would be hard, but I could tell that I would be able to manage it. Help around the house and being with a man whom I was slowly starting to fall for would be worth it. I slowly felt my exhaustion take over. I let sleep consume me as I drifted into the darkness in my mind. Everything was peaceful. I was happy. For a moment, anyway.
You are an interesting creature.
Oh, Diana. Sorry, girl, gotta skip over you. Okay. No way am I saying goodbye to these guys. I scooped up my bag and headed downstairs to the dining room, seeing the boys already eating a delicious selection of food. The smell made my stomach growl wildly as the sight of food drew me to walk further into the room. Please don't describe food too much. I am starving right now.
Good morning, miss. Did you sleep well?
Before I could lie, hiding the incident in the back of my mind, Damien furrowed his eyebrows and stopped eating.
She's here.
The boys looked at Damien in confusion while I cursed his abilities silently in my mouth.
Damien, what's up with you? Of course she's here. She kinda owns the house.
Damien looked to me, wanting me to explain for him. However, the threats that Diana gave me last night warned me to keep my mouth shut. Fine, Diana. Damien pressed his lips together into a fine line. The other boys looked at me with a raised eyebrow. A girl named Diana came by last night.
Diana? Is she important?
Did she try to hurt you?
She's a succubus. That single word made the boys stop and stare at me. I looked at each boy, unsure of what was going through their minds. Should I have avoided it?
So, she's come to try and bring us back.
She must really be desperate.
Well, what should we do now?
Nothing. She'll give up eventually.
Will she?
The boys continued to look at me as if I knew the answer to that question. Damn it, Damien. She said that if I told you, she'd make my life a living hell. She can't possibly do that, right? She's not a devil.
No, she isn't. However, she is a very powerful demon.
She's a master of mind manipulation and has been trained in illusion. Unlike other demons who use strength to get power, she uses her charisma.
She has the power to make armies bow to her and obey her every whim. That's why she's so obsessed with us.
What? What do you mean?
Well, she sorta has family ties to us. She was promised to marry one of us in exchange for more power.
She's just some whacked up hussy who doesn't know how to close her legs. She's not a real threat.
Oh, really? I feel insulted.
The boys and I looked around the room, wondering where the voice came from. I felt cold sweat run down the back of my neck in fear, remembering what kind of power she had. At last, we saw Diana by the entrance of the kitchen, juggling a single red apple in her hand as she leaned against the archway. The boys quickly surrounded me, glaring at the intruder.
So, you took up a human name as well.
Beautiful name, isn't it? Well, for a human name, anyway.
What the hell do you want?
To bring you back, of course. However, you weren't supposed to know that I was coming. I completely forgot about that little mind-reading ability. My mistake.
Diana pushed off from the archway and walked towards us, making the boys step closer to me in a protective circle. Diana laughed.
My. What has the world come to? A group of demons protecting a human girl? I'll tell you right now, she's not that pretty. And from what I can tell, she's still a virgin.
My face grew red in complete anger and embarrassment. How dare she? Oh, hell no! I stepped up, gently pushing the boys away to be face to face with Diana. I was furious, and she was about to feel my wrath. You are in my house. You are an intruder. You have no power here.
Oh, really? Do I have to remind you of the power I have, dear?
With a snap of her fingers, my mind suddenly locked up and I felt blank. I could see the world around me, but I lost control of my body. The boys quickly reformed around me, with James gripping onto Diana's wrist in anger.
You will leave this instant.
Or what? You'll kill me? I completely dare you to.
Let me do it. I could use the workout.
Don't.
The boys looked at Damien while Diana smirked at my blank state. I wanted to fight this hold, but her power held me down.
And why not?
She wants us to kill her. If she dies, then civil war starts in the demon world.
Very good, sweetie.
What happens in the demon world doesn't concern us anymore. We live here now.
The demons will come to the human world and hunt us down before attacking each other.
The demons will come to the human world? All because of her?
You sneaky bitch.
With another snap of Diana's fingers, I was released from her hold, almost buckling to my knees.
Well, will you all change your minds? I assure you, it's for the greater good.
I expected the boys to say no. What I heard was complete silence. None of the boys replied to Diana, which made me both nervous and fearful as to why. Diana leaned her head back a bit, surprised for a different reason.
No. Well, I see.
Was silence truly them saying no to her? I looked around at the boys and saw the disobedience in their eyes, giving me my answer. I felt my heart flutter, especially when my eyes landed on Damien. He kept close to me, glaring daggers into Diana. I could feel that he was completely adamant in his choice to stay. I don't know what, but I was incredibly happy to know he wanted to stay. Diana sighed and pressed a finger into her temple, rubbing it gently.
Either all of you are playing a very convincing hard-to-get game, or you all must be out of your minds.
Diana then looked to me, locking her gaze with mine as if to read me. I could tell she wanted me to do something, but the boys would stop her, so the stare was her only available action. After a small amount of silence, Diana licked her lips before breaking the gaze battle and smiling to the boys around me.
Very well. I guess I'll take my leave now.
What? Her leave? Was she serious? The boys around me straightened up and grew confused looks on their faces as Diana stepped back and away from us with a small bow, flaunting her cleavage. Without another word, a deep purple pentagram appeared under her feet, and Diana's body slowly sank into the floor. As her head vanished into the floor, the pentagram vanished. At once, the boys relaxed and slowly began to return to their spots at the table, each in deep thought.
She'll be back, but she won't kill us. She needs us alive.
Whatever. We'll just keep saying no. She can't force us to come back.
She can't do anything but annoy us. Eventually, she'll give up.
That's the hope, anyway.
Hopefully. Damien walked over to me and stood before me, looking at me with concern.
We'll protect you. Don't worry.
I nodded, feeling that he was telling the truth, or at least a hopeful and comforting thought. Damien gently took my hand in his and brought it up to kiss my knuckles, however, making me blush and forget what I was thinking about. The sound of collective chuckles and playful snickers whispered through the air, making me blush even more. But as Damien sighed and cleared his throat, the laughter stopped. That's all I had to do was go, "Oh, really, guys?" Ahem. I looked up to see he was glaring at his brothers with his lips on my hand. Oh, what a picture that paints. He and I pulled away from each other just as the sound of Naomi's car appeared. I quickly ate my food, waved to the boys, and left, confident that nothing was going to happen.